Good morning, Chuck here with Apple Drains. This is Monday morning. This is the fourth day on this crawl space, and it's been a real slow process because it's such a tight crawl space. Things are very slow to move around inside that area, move the gravel, all that. But we're pretty much done. All we need to do today is go ahead and set the sump pumps and also pull the moisture barrier back across the crawl space floor. I'm on my way to the job site. We're heading into Jacksonville, and you can kind of see the traffic. We're not even on the freeway yet. We're coming up to I-95 heading into Jacksonville. Big city, lots of people, lots of hustle bustle. Typical Florida day. Hey, good morning, Chuck here with Apple Drains. This is our final day working on this tiny crawl space. There's the opening, and what we're doing today is we're going to go ahead and core drill. We're going to drill a hole through this block to allow the 1.5 inch pipe from the sump pumps to come out through the wall, and then we'll trench a line over, and it's going to tie into this downspout drain right here where you can see it's already been covered, but that's okay. So we're going to get out our Bosch hammer drill right here with our 2-inch core bit, and we're going to drill right through this wall. So I've already made the measurements from the inside, and here we go. Okay, so that was the total elapsed time of 1 minute and 48 seconds. If you have the right tool, it doesn't take long at all. Okay, really humid down here. And again, you can see my head's right up against these rafters. This shovel, about 18 inches, and it just barely fits. And you can see it's just a tiny little spade. But what we've got to do is we've got to put a sump pit right here. So we've got to dig a hole that's about 2 feet deep. Then we can put our pit in and finish connecting these footer tiles. So let's go ahead and get started, see what we're going to get into here. And basically I'm just pulling up little bits of soil, moving it. We have to pull this soil out of here, grade it out as well. But you can see, not too bad. It comes right out. And the deeper I go, the more room I'll have to dig. So I'm going to go ahead and keep digging, and we'll check back in a minute. Okay, been about 10 minutes, didn't take too long. Let me show you where I'm at so you can kind of get an idea. You can see our hole, we're about 1.5 feet. Need to go about another foot down. But again, it only took 10 minutes, and we're doing really good. Granted, it is extremely hot down here and humid. It's actually raining outside, and that makes it even more humid. And thank heavens for tools. This little shovel, I picked up 3 of them for the guys, although I'm down here by myself. 10 bucks. This was at Lowe's. You know, all you can do is force this into the ground and pry it out a little bit. And then I just take my hands and pull out the dirt. But it's coming right along. Again, it's been about 10 minutes and probably another 20 minutes. And I'll have this pit dug. We'll test it out. Then I can hook up the rest of the footer tiles, and this system's ready to go. Of course, we need to put the pump in, but you know, to get the hard stuff done here. If you're doing this yourself, excuse me, if you're doing this yourself, be prepared. You know, it's a lot of labor, but you can save, you know, tens of thousands on this particular job. And if you've got this tight of a crawl space, remember the 2 things of how this system works. Number 1, water has no place to go until you do something about it. By putting in footer tiles around the perimeter, which people call the French drain, that's gravel perforated pipe, you know, perforated pipe surrounded by gravel. That gives the water a place to go. Then you bring it over to a sump pit right here, or wherever yours is. That drops into your pit. The pump lifts it up, and you send it outside. What you do with it outside is another story. And we put it into a downspout drain, but you could pump it out, but eventually you need to do something with that as well. But without the footer system, you have a flood. That water sits there for weeks and weeks. So anyways, back to work. So I've dug out quite a bit with the shovel. I'm just going to reach in here and pull out the dirt because there's not much room here to pry with your shovel. There's no leverage. And what I tell my guys is that no matter what you do, just do it. You know, believe you can do it, and I promise you that you'll get it done. Just keep working at it. And it might take a long time, it might not, but some jobs are easy, some jobs are hard. So you can see I've got the hole dug for the sump pit, and you can see the water beginning to rise in that pit. That's the groundwater, and that's the level of water here in Jacksonville in this area. So we've got not only that, but I opened up the footer tile. You can see the trench going that way, and then we have another trench going that direction, which brings the water in from the other side. So let's go ahead and put the pit in there. And what we're using is a modified pit because we couldn't get something down inside here with not enough opening, even through the joist. There's only 14 inches to get the pit through there. So we used a modified pit, which works just great. We're 2 feet deep, which is plenty deep enough. Our sump pump will sit right down in there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and drill the openings for the footer pipe, and there's the trench. So I've got to drill a 4-inch hole right there and one on the other side and hook it all up. Okay, so you can see our hole. That's from the one side of the house, that's the inlet hole, and then you can see the other hole on the other side picking up the other remaining footer pipe coming through. These are 4-inch holes. Now I'm going to connect the footer pipe itself. We also surround the pit with gravel. You can see that gravel down there. We put gravel all the way around the pit, and we also perforate the pit to allow water to come in so that pit doesn't float up like a float. Sorry, I can't get the camera far enough away to show you everything that needs to be seen here. But you can see I've brought the pipe, the footer pipe, into the sump pit. You can see it right there. Let me get the light. You can see footer pipe coming in on both sides. I put a bag of gravel down in to help weight it down until we get the sump pump, because I don't want this to float up. Even though it's perforated and we've been adding gravel around the sides of the pit, we still don't want the pit to float up because it can act like a boat. Next, you can see the bags of gravel right here. Really hard to move around in this crawl space, but we need to cover up this section here, put a small base underneath, and then cover that with gravel. And then the same thing on this side as it comes around. The gravel is actually all the way to about that point already. In other words, we've gone that far, but we always stop to dig the pit before we continue that gravel in case we have to move it. So let's go ahead and add the gravel. We're almost done. Okay, so we're pretty much done here in the crawl space. We're waiting on the pumps. We ordered lots of pumps for this job. They should be here on Monday, and we'll go ahead and install the pumps. I've plumbed all the 1.5-inch discharge, so it's all ready to go. And once the pumps are in, we'll go ahead and pull the plastic moisture barrier back over the floor. And that helps keep this moisture from rising up into the joist. So again, this was a pretty big installation. If you break it down into parts and you work on this yourself, it's really not that bad. Yeah, you can see I'm really dirty. I've got on a long sleeve shirt because I'm crawling around, and it's just a little bit, nicer on the elbows and things like that. But for a do-it-yourselfer, if you were to do this yourself and just dug, one footer wall over the weekend, it would take you, 2 or 3 days to install the footer. Spread it out. Your problem's not going to go away. You don't have to worry. The house isn't going to fall down or anything like that. But again, a really good project. If you want to save tens of thousands, you can definitely do this yourself. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. Okay, so now we're hooking up the final sump pump, and it's a Zoller M53. You've seen me set it up many times. This is the Zoller M53. We started off by putting an 1.5" male threaded adapter. It screws into this port. And then we cut a piece of PVC. This is our first riser, okay? And that's going to have the check valve at the end. We also drilled a hole through the lid to accept the riser, and then right above that lid is where we're going to put the check valve. So let's go ahead and set that in place. I'm going to glue it all up and set that in place, and then I'll show you the rest. So remember, I've already cut a piece of PVC for our riser. I'm going to go ahead and glue that up with a good amount of glue. We're going to slide that into the male threaded 1.5" adapter, twist and hold. Just hold it in place because it tries to back itself out. Within just a few seconds, it's set. So we're done with that. Now I can set the pump down into the pit. Let me put the lid back on this glue so we don't spill it again. But we'll set the pump down in the pit. It's a heavy pump, so as you do this, keep in mind that your back is right there. There's water in our pit, and you can hear it right there. So, got our cord coming up. Now we're going to set our lid. Remember, I already drilled the hole over top of the riser. We're all set there. Next, we're going to put the check valve on. And check valve only allows water to flow one way. Somewhere on here there's an arrow. It's right here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an arrow that points the direction of water flow. And it's held together with stainless steel no-hub bands. As you can see, I'm going to set this on here, and I'm going to tighten up the band to make it secure. And then we'll plumb the rest of this up, and it's going to come over this side to a T where it joins the discharge line going through the wall. Okay, so we've got this plumbed and glued. You can see the riser coming up, check valve, arrows pointing up. It turns, comes across, and it tees into the line over here. We're going to discharge out through the wall. You can see it coming out on the other side. Okay, so you can see our core where we came through the wall. 90s, comes across, and we just turn, and what we're doing is we're going straight into the 4-inch corrugated. We're going to put some roofing tape around that to make a nice watertight fitting. Now we're going to backfill, and I already showed you inside the crawl space, and we're all done. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. Okay, so for those that need to understand how to connect different materials together, you can see what I've done here. This is a pump. This is an existing pump. It's over here inside this box, and it's a little 1-inch flexible, semi-flexible hose. It needed a check valve, so we put a check valve. This is 1.25 inches on this side of this no-hub. This is 1.5 inches. That connects everything together. Easy to do. Just screw it down tight so there's no leaks. You can see it's plumbed. Now we have 1.5 inches going to 1.5 inches to 3, 3 to 4, and it goes into the other pipe. It goes into the corrugated pipe. And I'm going to seal that with a tape to make it nice and tight. It's a roofing tape, window and door roofing tape.